Jesus who walked toward us in the storm. As we live our lives, there are times when everything feels calm, like sailing across a quiet sea. But then, without warning, we encounter a storm, harsh winds and crashing waves we never expected. In those moments, we don't know where to go or what to hold on to. Even with faith, storms are still frightening. The disciples in Matthew chapter 14 were the same. They had ministered with Jesus. They had seen who he was with their own eyes. But when they faced a sudden storm on the boat without him, their faith began to shake. The wind blew fiercely, and the waves threatened to swallow the boat. When they saw Jesus, they cried out thinking he was a ghost because fear had overtaken them. They were not people without faith, yet even faith does not remove the fear of the storm. Every time I meditate on that scene, my heart aches because that fear is my own story. Years ago, I collapsed suddenly because of illness. Dizziness and ringing in my ears kept me from getting out of bed. My body and my heart both fell apart. For days, no, for weeks, I lay there staring at the ceiling. I could not pray. I could not even open the Bible. I simply endured each day in exhaustion and emptiness. Then, deep inside my heart, a violent wind began to rise. The fear that I might never walk again. The thought that God had abandoned me. The enemy took advantage of that weakness and whispered in my ear every day, "You're finished. Even Jesus has abandoned you." At first, those words sounded like lies, but as despair dragged on, they began to sound real. It felt as if my faith had disappeared and my will to live faded with it. Then, suddenly, I thought of my young daughter's face. If only once, just once, I could walk again. That small hope stirred my heart. So I began to pray again. "Lord, please let me walk again. Even one day would be enough." I crawled into the living room. Holding onto the wall, I barely stood up, and I read John 1:1. "In the beginning was the Word." I read it, collapsed, and prayed. From that day on, every day I read that one short verse, collapsed again, prayed again, and lived one day at a time. Then something remarkable began to happen. After a few days, I had the strength to read one chapter. A few days later, I could finish an entire chapter of Scripture. My body slowly recovered, and my heart came back to life. That was when I finally understood what it means that Jesus walked on the water. Even in the time when I was completely overwhelmed and surrounded by darkness, the Lord was walking toward me. I simply could not recognize him, yet he was always coming in my direction. When Peter saw Jesus and walked on the water but began to sink, Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him. That same hand was extended to me every single day. I fell again and again, but Jesus never let go of my hand. The winds and waves of life come suddenly. No matter how long we have lived in faith, those moments come to everyone. But even then, Jesus walks on the water. In the storm, in the fear, he never turns his face away from us. It is only that we fail to recognize him. To anyone whose life feels shaken right now, I want to say this: Jesus is on that sea. When I could not walk, he walked toward me. When I could not pray, he stayed quietly by my side and waited. And even today, he speaks to us. "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." And every time we begin to sink, he reaches out his hand again and lifts us up.
Even on days I walked on quiet seas, Sudden storms came crashing over me. My trembling heart crying out in fear. Could not recognize you standing near. I said I had faith, yet I shook inside. The storm was too strong, I was terrified. You seemed so distant, like a ghost in the night. Yet even then you walked toward my light. When I fell into darkness, laid down in despair, no prayer on my lips, no strength to care. Lies whispered softly, you're finished, it's true. And my weary soul sank deeper in the blue. But holding one verse, just one small word, your hand reached out and my heart stirred. Though I fell again, you held me right. Your faithful love kept me alive. Jesus, walking through the storm, time I sink beneath the waves, you reach out your hand and pull me safe. Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. You still speak those words to my heart today. When I could not walk another mile, you were walking toward me all the while. Though I stumbled countless times before, your hand has never let me go. Through wind and waves, you stood by my side. You were always for me, never denied. No matter how fierce the storm may be, you still walk across the raging sea. My salvation, my hope, my Lord and King. When I call your name, your peace comes in. Through the storm, your love has rescued me once more. When I had no strength left to pray, you stayed beside me, silent, faithful, near. Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. Your voice still lifts me up today.